B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R,
Skip S because of reasons.
T, U, V, W, X, Y, and the greatest trick Dr. Sean ever pulled
was convincing the world the Super Bowl 2000 didn't work. Internet, hey, my name is Peridiam, and I'm not kidding around. Welcome to Peridiam Over-Explains the Video. Because, to be honest, kinda gotta do it here. That's the name of the video. 5 moves in Survivor that I don't think are fully understood. Let's just get right into it. The first move goes back to the first season of Survivor, back on the beaches of Borneo in the year 2000. A young Dr. Sean devised a strategy he called the alphabet strategy. A move where he would base his vote on the next person in the alphabet going by first name. Most of the audience clowned on him for being so simple, being so removed from logic. How is voting based on the alphabet a strategy at all? Well, it wasn't perfect. I did lead to Sean getting taken advantage of when his tribe mates realized what he was doing and hopped onto his vote because they knew exactly where he was voting. Also, he told them what he was doing. Okay, where is Sean? He's at J. Well, okay, I guess we're voting for Jenna tonight. A few of his tribe mates laughed at him and asked if they could change their name. They now go by Zoe. Sorry ladies, the queen herself doesn't appear for another 3 seasons. In the end, Sean absolutely looked like a fool. He was surprised by his old toggy tribe mates that took advantage of him when he was just being honest. Borneo was a different time, divorced from pretty much every other season of the show. There was no blueprint to work off of, so when Sean put this strategy together, it seemed innocent and naive. But the truth is that Sean had a method to his madness. It was still madness, mind you, but there was a method. And I think a lot of fans overlook the method in favor of just laughing, because that is what Sean was going for. He was kind of a goof. But Sean implemented this strategy at the merge halfway into the season, and for good reason. Here's the hack. Sean correctly identified that the tribes on the season were sorted by alphabetization. Other than Dirk and Ramona, all of the Toggy players were at the bottom of the alphabet, while all of the Pagong members were at the top. So when Sean declared his innocent, naive, and impersonal voting strategy, he was doing so as a means to win. Because he understood that the name of the game was to vote people out and then have them want to vote for you. And if he voted people out and didn't make it personal, the jury couldn't take it personally. At least, not reasonably anyway. Sean picked an easy method to follow and just went down the line. The opposing Pagong tribe didn't even have a strategy in the first place. They voted on their own personal whims. I think most people thought Sean was just being obtuse, but the truth is slightly deeper. There was a method to the madness. It wasn't random, and he almost got away with it too.
I think it adds a new dimension to the game of me going alphabetically. Jenna is next. It would make me happy if Jervis does not win immunity this time, because I had to skip him last time, I skipped him in the order. So the way I figure, my votes, are going to go alphabetical. So today's Jenna. If I'm going to be the swing vote, which I don't think I will be, then I won't vote for her, obviously. She knows she wouldn't take it personally, and I think she's a safe vote tonight. If I felt she was in jeopardy, I would think twice at the very least of casting a vote.
Last vote, J for Jenna.
The second move on this list is quick and sudden, and for your first time watching Season 10 Palau, you may have been shocked when the first twist of the season was introduced. A schoolyard pick'em, where the players would pick each other to join their tribe. Each woman would pick a man and vice versa until only one man and one woman were unpicked. Those 2 unlucky players would instantly be eliminated in what is the cruelest twist the producers have ever implemented. Toward the end of the pick'em, we saw Ibrahim have the option of picking the older lady Wanda or the young woman Angie. Ibrahim went with the more common option and picked Angie. Nobody really batted an eye, but at least we got to see Wanda sing to us from the boat as she sailed into the sunset in a scene that has since been deleted due to copyright. What the hell? It is on the DVD at least. But on the flip side, we saw Karen having the option of picking the last man to join her tribe, and the options were between Jonathan, a young stud who was in decent shape with his frosted tips and a smooth chest, or Willard, the guy who was old and looked like the immunity idol. Karen pondered over her choice and obviously picked Jonathan. Wait, what? She picked Willard? As Charlie would go on to say 7 seasons later in Gabon, now we're playing stupid Survivor. Or are we? As it turns out, Karen picked Willard for 3 reasons, all of which were pretty smart. The The first is because Jonathan was kind of standoffish, introverted, and a little cocky. She didn't love it. The second was because she got to know Willard a little better. Survivor is a social game, it makes sense. And then third, and the best reason I've heard, is because Karen was currently the oldest, smallest, and probably weakest member of her tribe as of the time of her picking the last man. She picked Willard to help her even the odds of surviving the first vote. Willard was weaker and older than she was, so he kinda served as a shield for her. And when you look at the boot order for the season and you notice that the only person from Karen's tribe who was voted out in the pre-merge is in fact Willard and not her, I start to believe that Karen maybe doesn't suck after all. At least not in the premiere episode. Let's not get Karen away.
Karen, you're picking a guy. Make your decision.
Willard.
Fifth person voted out of Survivor Palau. Willard. That's 5, that's enough. You need to bring me your torch.
Stay strong, stick to the plan, finish them off.
All right, this next move is something I know superfans are gonna understand, so I'm really not too worried about most of you who are probably watching this video, but you would be surprised how small the Survivor superfan community online is, and just how many comments I have seen where even 15 years later, people still bag on PG and Jamie for throwing the swap challenges to vote out Aaron and James. Yes, from season 15 China, at the swap, we see an imbalanced switch up occur where the two tribes circle two names from the other tribe to join them on their tribe. The yellow Zhanhu tribe circles James and Aaron, which makes sense on paper, literally, because they're the two strongest members of the red Fei Long tribe, and why not kidnap their strength and add it to your own? Except, that's not what we see PG and Jamie do with their newfound strength. Instead of attempting to win over James and Aaron into their good graces, they decide to do the opposite. They straight up burn the two guys' trust by throwing the next immunity challenge with the intent to vote one of them out. They intentionally lost to eliminate James and Aaron with the hope of thinning out the opposing tribe's numbers so that when they merged at the final 10, Zhanhu would have 5 players, as would Fei Long. We wound up seeing this happen in episode 5 when the two women couldn't do Sudoku to save their lives, but then their lives really weren't on the line anyway. They voted out Aaron later in the episode and wanted to continue this losing streak with James going as well in episode 6. However, their plan would be foiled in the next episode when the opposing tribe couldn't actually win the challenge, as well as the fact that James found a hidden idol at the camp and received him from his ally Todd, who was helping him across the pond. But I gotta make mention of PG and Jamie's move here because it's actually not a bad move at all, and yet it catches so much flack. Throwing challenges at the swap is oftentimes a good strategy. Heck, throwing challenges at all can often be a smart move. If you only listen to the narrative the producers tell you, it's almost always painted as a bad idea. But I have gone back and audited every thrown challenge by my estimation in Survivor history and came to the conclusion that it works half the time for those who choose to do so. I made a whole video about it a couple of years ago. But don't hate the players, hate the game, especially in the case of Survivor China with its ridiculous swap, and even to this day, people still watch China and misunderstand this move, or frankly, anytime a challenge is thrown, even when the player who does so goes on to win the season.
If we throw these next two, not only have we gotten rid of the two biggest threats for individual immunity, but we will be going into a merge with 5 original Fei Long, 5 original Zhanhu.
PG, you good at puzzles?
I'm good at Sudoku.
Sudoku, pay attention. Fei Long wins immunity!
You know, if we merge, we're gone. They've got the numbers. As far as I'm concerned, I didn't want to be stuck with someone that was just going to go right back to the other side.
For the fourth move, let's go back a season to Fiji, the current domain of every modern Survivor season, and talk about the OG Season 14. A lot of the alliances and strategy in Fiji gets lost to the simpler narrative told in the episodes, so let's attempt to untangle some of it to better explain what happened. The most important alliance to know about is called the Syndicate Alliance, who start on day 1. From what I've been able to glean, this was between Earl, Yao, Cassandra, Boo, Michelle, and Dreams. One of the most confusing boots comes in the way of Michelle, who gets unjustly voted out at the final 10. A second tribe swap happens where the 10 players are split into 2 tribes of 5, and the losing tribe has to immediately go to tribal council. The losers end up being Alex, Mookie, Stacy, Dreams, and Michelle. Because Dreams and Michelle had prior connections with several other players who were all still in the game, you would think, at the very least, Dreams and Michelle would stick together here, especially considering the vote came down 2 for Stacy, 2 for Michelle, with Dreams being the middleman of the 5. You would think he would vote out Stacy here, right? But he didn't. He blindsided Michelle and sent her packing. And this doesn't really make sense given the aforementioned Syndicate alliance. Why would Dreams take out Michelle when he had the votes to save her? Dreams' explanation in the following episode is kind of glossed over, and I didn't really fully buy what I was hearing, but post-season, it was revealed that Dreams realized going into the final 9, after the Michelle vote, Earl, Yao, Cassandra, and Boo wouldn't really need him if Michelle was still around. In a tribe of 9 with an alliance of 6, Dreams wasn't that important. He was not a pivotal number. By cutting out Michelle, a key player in Earl's game, this allotted Dreams a better spot in the alliance. Dreams wasn't on the swap tribe with Earl and thus didn't get a chance to play with him after the initial building of the Syndicate alliance. But with Michelle gone, Dreams became a lot more important to several other players' games. It also meant that he could be the middleman between the Syndicate and the opposing alliance of the Four Horsemen, which is what happened, even though they didn't fully trust him. Actually, for that matter, neither side fully trusted him, which explains his stray vote for Mookie at the final 9, but the context for why he took out Michelle becomes clear when you look at the numbers and the alliance breakdown. Unfortunately, Dreams is kind of sold short in the narrative given he's a 0 vote finalist, as Fiji is this complicated web where 19 players hit the beach at the same time on day 1. I don't fully blame the producers for not being able to get this all across on the episodes, but hey, you know what? That's the point of this video, to help better understand the misunderstood.
I was hoping that Stacy was gone, and that just flipped the whole script around for everything in my head. I need to know if he's with us coming, because we really need his vote, since we don't have Michelle.
Dreams, the Syndicate, day 1. Let's not make any more mistakes. Let's proceed carefully.
Last but not least, as always, the 5th misunderstood move on this list is from season 21 in Nicaragua, and it could pretty much be any move made all season, but for the sake of time, let's just narrow it down to when Marty doesn't play his idol, but instead gives it up to Sash after a vote he survives during the swap. But then Sash doesn't vote out Marty on the revote after Sash's alliance split the vote 3-3 and had Marty dead to rights. Marty had an idol, didn't play it, there was a revote, and for some reason, Kelly Bruno was voted out. This is such a weird episode strategically, and I remember being confused watching this live and asking why these players are doing what they're doing. Why did Marty not just play his idol? Why did Sash not just vote Marty out? Why the heck was Kelly Bruno voted out over Marty? What is this season? Marty wasn't working with Sash, he was directly opposing him, and everyone knew Marty had the idol. So the LaFleur majority of 6 split the vote 3-3, 3 for Marty and 3 for Kelly B, who was a part of the majority, and then we had Marty and Jill at the bottom, both voting for Brenda. So the vote comes out 3-3-2, we get a revote where you would think Marty will go. He didn't play his idol. He should have played his idol. But then Kelly gets taken out 5-1 on the revote, and what? Brenda even says going into that tribal council that the vote is going to come down to what Marty does. If he plays his idol, Kelly goes. But then he didn't play his idol, so why did Kelly go after he didn't play it? The main reason was the brain trust between Brenda and Sash, the 2 players running the tribe. First, they didn't trust Kelly after the first LaFleur vote in episode 2, when they believed she was the 3rd vote against Brenda alongside Alina and Shannon. Fabio actually voted for Brenda, but lied about it. Second, Kelly had a lot of people fixated on her amputated leg and how nobody believed they could beat her if she reached the end. Mind you, this was all still in the pre-merge, but combined with the lack of trust the Majority Alliance had with her, they figured she really wasn't worth the hassle of keeping around after they split the vote on her. Third, and lastly, Marty was on the outs with Jill and his idol, but Brenda and Sash wondered if they could potentially keep Marty in the hopes to gain his idol. Idols are hidden, after all, but what if they were just, given to you on a silver platter? The LaFleur Alliance knew Marty and Jill were against them, but by voting for Kelly, it would signal she too would now be against them, so voting her out took an enemy off the board. Mind you, this is kind of an enemy they created themselves, but whatever, it's still the same thing. It's Nicaragua. And so they vote Kelly out because she's basically an enemy at this point with a split vote, and then in the next episode, Sash and Brenda schemed to cut a deal with Marty to get his idol. Sash made a deal with Marty and said, look, you give me your idol, I promise you safety until the merge. Marty thought about it, and you know what? Hey, why not? It worked. Marty gave over his idol to Sash, and then Sash went on to pick off Marty not long after the merge happened. Sash did ultimately keep his word to Marty there. Sash would go on to carry that idol all the way to the end of the game, and it was all because they kept their friends close and their enemies closer. And as for why Marty didn't play his idol that night on the split vote, well, as he put it himself,
you gotta have big cojones to pull the move that I pulled tonight, which is I did not play the immunity idol. And something told me, hang on to it, and I was right.
The other option to strengthen us, you hand the idol over, and I look you in the eye, man to man, and shake your hand that you are not going home tonight.
If I keep the idol, I have to use the idol tonight. So I give Sash the idol, and maybe I go home tonight, maybe I don't.
It turns out I don't even have to dig for idols. All I have to do is ask for them.
And after all is said and done, those are 5 slightly less misunderstood moves in Survivor. Hopefully I explained them well enough. Sometimes I will find it tricky to make sense of the strategy without digging a little deeper, but that's kind of the nature of Survivor. We don't have live feeds, and you know what? As Jeff says, like a turtle birthing an egg, you gotta dig deep. Let me know what you think about these moves, and if there are any other confusing or misunderstood ones out there that you want me to talk about. A big thank you to my patrons for not misunderstanding my moves. I definitely don't misunderstand yours, and as always, I appreciate your support. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to show your work on the test for full marks on your way out, and I will see you in the next one once I whip out a chalkboard and let Jeff Probst explain Survivor like I'm 5.
What happened? So I'm gonna do a little recap here, because on the night, all of us were confused going, wait a second, huh? What are we doing, revoting? So here's what happened. We did our historic thing, that blew everybody's mind, but then we realized this is where it gets interesting, because per the rules of Survivor, and we have rules, and this is about persuading. There's a consequence. It's up to you. A 180, but where it got really complicated is, that leaves poor old Keith having to draw the one rock, and you saw it play out. That is reason number 322 why Survivor is so tough to win.